What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to another episode of Horror Month. We're nearing the end of it, which of course is a little bit bittersweet. But hey, don't worry, I'm gonna save more for next year. But don't worry, folks. At the day this drops, I believe Five Nights at Freddy's will be streaming. So hey, that might be our Halloween episode to wrap up Horror Month. But anyway, let's get down to business. So, I promised you guys not one, not two, but three different versions of Dracula this month. I already talked about the Langella Universal remake back in 1979. I already talked about the 1970 Jesus Franco version. But today, this one is going to be the Dan Curtis made-for-TV movie. Now, everyone's like, okay, who the hell is Dan Curtis? But everyone remembers the lead with Jack Palance, because Jack Palance plays Dracula in this movie. So everyone just calls this, okay, it's the Palance version. It's a made-for-TV one. It came out in 1974, like 4 years after the Jesus Franco version. So how does this one hold up, or how is this better? Is it differ or whatnot? So I'll tell you right now is that to me, I feel like this one felt pretty good, considering the star power behind Jack Palance, because he's a very memorable name and icon at the time. The one thing that I definitely think puts over the top a little bit, and probably one of that makes this one and the Coppola version the only movies that makes like a connection between Dracula and Vlad the Impaler, which was never really seen in the book, although he borrows similarities. So I felt like they do that well, except you only find out as the story goes on. Another interesting thing is that Dracula considers Lucy to be the reincarnation of his long-dead wife. So, okay, so that's an interesting cue. So both these movies are kind of borrowing similar elements. Like in the Coppola version, like instead of Lucy, it's Mina. That's why Dracula has a romance with Mina, which of course I thought was one of the coolest things of that movie. But we're going to focus on this one. So yeah, there's a lot of interesting overlap. Again, a lot of things that this movie does to cram into literally in this movie, according to what I found out, was that for the 2-hour time slot was given, which of course at the time when it was put on TV, that's usually what it gives. But if you watch it in its full length, it's literally they cram a lot in just under an hour and 40 minutes. To me, I feel like okay, so they're really taking like the best bits of both worlds and just putting it together. I mean, they do a good job. They do follow the source material despite a couple of deviations, but I'm not going to hold it against them. It does feel good. The only thing I think what makes it a little different is that outside of the Jack Palance touch and Dan Curtis' production, it's like I feel like this one feels like it was trying to be more like Hammer on some levels, because because here's the thing: when Dracula gets killed, now again, Dracula gets killed by knives, specifically in the book, but in here he gets impaled by Van Helsing. And just for good measure, he has the window open with the sun shining into him for good measure. So it's like now it's stunning him, now he's killing him with the lance for good measure. And of course, I'm like, okay, so it's a little anticlimactic how Dracula goes out, but yeah, again, borrowing some elements that I felt like we could kind of put in that same level, but it's not as campy as Hammer does it. But again, at least they did some things right. Palance, great work. But as for the star power for the rest of the movie, the legendary Nigel Davenport played Van Helsing, the late Simon Ward, who, that's another thing. Speaking of Hammer, they actually tried to get a Hammer star in Simon Ward, who's been in several movies, including one of my favorite movies of Count Cronus. Yeah. Bet you guys didn't know about that one. So, yeah, and man, at least they went so far to give it that authentic feel. That's what gives it more like the Hammer connection there. So, outside of that, to me it holds up. But again, but I don't think it can hold a candle to like the Jesus Franco one, or for good measure the Coppola version. But again, again, here's the thing. Everyone prefers their Dracula the same way, or how you like it. You can like the original stuff, the OG stuff. You can like what they do here. But then again, I praise the Franco version because that was the only version of Dracula where they actually made him described as he is in the book. Here again, he's back to looking like he was Bela Lugosi, which that's my other problem. My knock on this is like, what the fuck did they do to Jack Palance's face? Were they trying to make him flat out look like Bela freaking Lugosi? God, it's so cheap and just makes you want to put Bela Lugosi in that role instead of Jack Palance. That's my only knock on the makeup department. But otherwise, it's a solid movie. But again, I'm gonna say this right now, better than the Universal one, but not as good as Franco or any of them. To me, it's an average Dracula, but for the time run that they give it, I really think they should have added a little more. But again, that's just only me. All right, but again, Jack Palance, great work all around for this movie. And I tipped the cap to Dan Curtis because again, he was definitely the creative genius behind this movie. He's produced a couple others, but to me, I feel like this was like his most iconic work. Okay, even though he's more of a behind the scenes guy because he was just good at doing being in the director's chair more than being an actor. That's what I was told. But outside that tidbit, it's an average Dracula movie. I say give this movie a watch. It's available on Tubi and Freevee, and I think on Peacock. Okay, so if you want to give it a watch, I encourage you. Okay, and with that, I'm going to give the Dan Curtis version. I'm going to give it a 7. All right, again, I feel like it's almost on. Well, again, it's above average. It's just an average one. There's better ones to watch. Again, how you like your Dracula? It's again, everyone has their preferences. It's definitely up to you. I'm not saying it's superior, but again, it's far better than Universal stuff. I mean, Universal set the bar, others raised it. Okay, except for their own remake. All right. So that does for today. Let me know what you think. Thumbs up the video, subscribe to my channel, stay tuned for some more awesome and exciting content.